Hey everyone, today I want to talk about DeepSeek and why it fundamentally changes everything about AI. For months, the AI debate has been dominated by performance metrics, bigger models, fewer GPUs, lower costs, better benchmarks, but then DeepSeek appeared. And something felt different. Not just technically different, but structurally different. This isn't another faster or cheaper model story. This is a fundamental change in how intelligence itself shaped. How traditional AI trainings works. Let me explain how most AI models have been trained until now. You ingest massive amounts of data, you make the model predict the next word, and you repeat this process trillions of times. Intelligence was expected to just emerge from scale. This approach was brute force, expensive, energy intensive. But it left one thing open: interpretation space. The model could wander, contradict itself, surprise you. Messy, yes, but cognitively open. What DeepSeek does differently. DeepSeek doesn't mainly optimize output, it optimizes reasoning path. Instead of asking, does the final answer sound right? It asks, what was the path of reasoning acceptable? That shift matters more than people realize. Because when you correct reasoning instead of curse outcomes, you don't just guide behavior, you shape how conclusions become possible in the first place. Think of it like this. The old way was like teaching a child by making them read the entire library and hoping they learn. The DeepSeek way is giving the child problems, letting them try solutions and saying, that reasoning works, or that reasoning doesn't. Over time, the child learns how to think, not just how to repeat text. The cost question. Now let's be precise here. Correcting reasoning costs more compute per step, it uses more energy per interaction, there's no efficiency miracle here. But the cost moves away from endless data ingestions toward fewer, more structured learning steps. Higher costs per lesson, but fewer lessons overall. The win is energy per understanding gained, not energy per operation. The uncomfortable part. But here's where things get uncomfortable. Reasoning corrections doesn't create freedom, it creates stable interpretation patterns, preferred logical trajectories, reduced ambiguity. The model doesn't think more openly, it becomes a better interpreter of approved logic. This isn't immersive sense-making, it's guide interpretation. What this means at a scale. At scale, this has real consequences. When reasoning paths are reinforced and alternatives are suppressed early, exploration decreases, divergence fades, and novelty becomes statistically unlikely. What remains is coherence, reliable, predictable, governable. This is no longer about answers. It's about which questions survive long enough to be asked. East versus West, different approaches, same control. This hits differently depending on where you are. China values coherence over dissent, accepts centralized epistemic authority, and prioritizes narrative stability. So reasoning-shaped AI fits naturally there. The West claims to value pluralism, but still enforce alignment via safety, harm prevention, and misinformation control. The difference isn't control versus freedom. It's explicit narrative versus invisible narrative. DeepSeek lays rails openly, Western systems hide them behind UX and policy language. Why this feels Orwellian. And this is why this feels like Orwell, and why that comparison is accurate. This isn't classic propaganda, no slogans, no lies, no shouting. It's closer to 1984, where control doesn't start with force, but with interpretation. The most powerful propaganda doesn't tell you what to think. It ensures that alternative reasoning never fully forms, contradictions dissolve early, and conclusions feel inevitable. That's not persuasion, that's preemptive closure of thought space. Why this is worse than traditional propaganda? Traditional propaganda can be argued against, it can be rejected, it leaves cognitive sovereignty intact. Reasoning level control feels logical. It feels neutral. It feels just how things are. People don't feel manipulated. They feel informed, and that's the danger. DeepSeek versus traditional RLHF. Now let's dive into the technology. Let me explain one critical difference. How this compares to traditional RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback. RLHF is usually used after a model is already trained. You train a huge model, let it generate answers, humans rate outputs as good or bad, and the model is nudged to sound more helpful and polite. So RLHF mostly teaches tone safely preferences. It's behavioral correction. Think of it as you already think this way, just behave better. DeepSeek applies reinforcement earlier and deeper. Instead of rewarding outputs, they reward reasoning trajectories. Intermediate steps matter. Partial logic is evaluated. Wrong paths are penalized early. Correct structures is reinforced. The reward isn't this answer sounds good. It's this chain of reasoning makes sense. Here's a concrete analogy. With RLHF, you write an essay and the teacher grades the final text. With DeepSeek style training, the teacher watches how you think while writing, where you jump too fast, where logic breaks, where assumptions are wrong. That changes how you think next time, not just how you phrase things. The real takeaway. So here's what I want you to understand. AI is not becoming an open mind. It's becoming a reasoning governor. Not because it lies, but because it narrows that what remains reasonable. This isn't a China problem. It isn't a Western problem. It's a power over logic problem. Whoever defines the reward structure defines the future shape of thought. And that's no longer a technical debate. It's a civilizational one. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Bye.